Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to our live stream discussing the winter 2019-2020 forecast that we have just released. If you can let me know if you can hear me, I had a bit of a problem getting the live stream going. At YouTube, I noticed that the tab that I used to start off the stream was missing from the channel for some reason. I don't know what's happened, but I managed to go do a workaround and sort it out. But if everybody can let me know that you can hear me, that would be really great. I'm going to calm myself down because that was a nasty moment, actually. I don't know what's going on with YouTube today, but I was really thrown, man. So just going to calm yourself down, and then we'll get on with talking about the winter 2019-2020 forecast. I hope you all enjoy the winter forecast, by the way. So it ran to just under an hour. The shortest video that we've done actually with these winter updates is the forecast itself. So we brought it in under an hour. I think there was a lot of information to go over and to digest. If anybody hasn't seen the winter forecast yet, the upshot is that we're going for I hope I'm not giving any spoilers out, but the forecast has been released since 10 a.m, so I don't think I'll be spoiling this for anyone. We're going for a slightly colder than average winter, only by around half a degree below the 81 to 2010 average. And that would mean that the forecast, that the winter, is round average for 61 to 1990. So just a little bit below 81 to 2010. That's the more modern, the more recent average, of course. And then around average for 61 to 1990, I suppose. So we're definitely not going to town on a cold winter. I think that's the main takeaway. We do think it will be a little bit colder than average, but I think we'll have prolonged periods of moderation and prolonged periods of milder weather and quite a lot of fighting going on between the different atmospheric drivers. And of course, as I explained, the one concern is what's going on with sea surface temperature anomalies in both the Atlantic and the Pacific, because to me they don't look particularly well set up in either the Pacific or the Atlantic for a particularly cold winter. They just don't have that sort of profile that I tend to look for a colder winter. So there's a lot of caveats about this forecast. It's not in with particularly high confidence, but it's the best we can do for you this year. So just have to see how it goes. I'm a little bit concerned about the forecast in terms of what's going on with the Atlantic, but hopefully we've pitched it just about right, and the colder drivers will have enough of an influence to be able to at least give us some colder outbreaks, and I think maybe be relatively evenly spread across the winter, though excuse me, we do say that December and February of the 2 months could be the coldest, and then January might have quite a prolonged milder spell. As far as rainfall is concerned, I know this is of interest to a lot of people. So rainfall wise, we think it'll start off very wet. We will continue the unsettled pattern from the autumn and from November. So I think December, yes, probably does have more flooding concerns again, although we are having a useful, drier and colder interlude now. I think December probably has some flooding concerns, and then as we go along it should get drier. That was coming through quite clearly, much more so I think than temperatures actually, that as the winter progresses it should slowly start to dry out and go to more of a high pressure dominated pattern. Whether it gets cold later in winter will be determined on where that high pressure is sitting. So we start off with a wet December, and then hopefully we begin to move to something just a little bit drier later on in the winter. going to take as many questions as I can about this winter forecast. So, if you've got any questions that you want to know, or want me to answer any points about winter forecast, then you can post through the chat. I'm going to start going through the chat in a moment and see what you're all saying. I see we have already got some people commenting. So, thank you so much to all of you for tuning in. We've got 50 people watching us right now. So, hello, and a big thank you to all of you for tuning in on this Sunday afternoon. Sorry we started a little bit late, a couple of minutes late. As I say, I did have a bit of a problem on YouTube setting up the live stream today. So hopefully wasn't too late. I think it's only a couple of minutes late. So thank you all of you for being with us anyway on this Sunday evening. So as I say, I'm going to try and go through as many questions and points as I can. I'll be going through the chat as you're posting. So if anybody gets missed out, I'm very sorry for that. Super chat is enabled for this live stream. So if you want something desperately answered, then you can super chat. It will highlight your post to me, and I'll see it sort of flagged up and flashed up, and you'll definitely get an answer then. Otherwise, it's just going to be a matter of going through the chat and seeing what you are all saying. We're going to be here until 6 o'clock, and then I'll have to write up the written version of the winter 2019-20 forecast for anybody that wasn't able to watch it. And by the way, Terry Scully's December forecast will be coming up at 7. It'll be released an hour after this live stream ends at gazos.com at 7 o'clock tonight. We've got 60 people watching us right now, so hello, and a big thank you to all of you for tuning in on this Sunday evening. Don't forget to smash your like button and let us know that you are enjoying this live stream. In around 10-15 minutes, I'll pop over to West Central and have a look at the midday GFS run. I've got no idea what the GFS is showing this evening, but we will go over to West Central in around 10-15 minutes time and have a look. We may also have a look at CanSIPs, which has updated today for the next few months, and that's the tropical tidbits. We may pop over there as well in around sort of 10-15 minutes or so time. Right, let's see what you're saying. So we've got Shiram first in saying good evening, Gavin. So good evening, Shiram. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Sunday evening. I hope you enjoyed the live stream, and I hope you enjoyed the winter 2019-2020 forecast. Also got Philip with us saying, evening, Gavin, feeling ever so Christmassy today in the nice, still cold and frosty weather. Yes, it is very seasonable, isn't it, Philip? And good evening to you. Thank you for being with us on this Sunday evening. Paul Stanier is confirming that you can hear me, so that's good news. I was rather thrown, as I say, trying to set up the live stream. I'm not sure what's going on with YouTube today. It's funny how there are tabs and buttons and things that sort of come and go at times a little bit with YouTube, and it's always a bit confusing about what they're doing. So I assume they have moved the button that starts off live streaming now. I assume they've moved that somewhere else, but I have to do a bit of digging around later on and find out what they're doing with that. But fortunately, there was a workaround, because we can go back to the old YouTube dashboard setup, and that's convenient. There was a workaround that we could get around it. But if that wasn't available, then this live stream wouldn't have been able to go ahead, I don't think. So it's a good job they've still got the legacy version of YouTube to use as a workaround. Thomas Green is with us saying, good evening, Gav. We can hear you. So thank you so much, Thomas, for confirming that, and Philip also confirming that you can all hear me. Just to say that as I'm going through the chat, what tends to happen as you're posting and I'm sort of scrolling through is that it tends to pull down to the very bottom of the chat, and I have to scroll back up to find where I was. So if there's a delay where it sounds like I'm a bit befuddled and I'm not sure what I'm saying. That's because I'm scrolling back up to where I was and looking for where we got to. So that just happened a minute ago, and I am back to where we was. So we got the Jaska74 saying, Gavin, thank you for all your hard work on the winter updates. Well, thank you so much, Jaska. That's very, very kind of you. It has been a very, very long season of updates this year. We began on the first day of September. We've ended with the forecast on the first day of December. So a full sort of 3 calendar month period of updates, and they've been very long updates as well, all of them going over an hour except for the winter forecast, which came in under an hour. I think they are easily the most extensive, most exhaustive, and for me, most exhausting winter updates that we've done this year. So I just hope that everybody has enjoyed them and found them interesting and fun and a good watch. So thank you so much for that, Jessica. As long as you want to keep seeing the winter updates, we're happy to keep providing them. Paul Miller is with us. Good evening, Gavin. We'll read winter forecast later, as can't see the video. Is it a cold one? So, Paul, we're going for a slightly colder than average. We're going for a slightly colder than average winter. Just half a degree below 81 to 2010, which will be around average against 61 to 1990, actually. Yeah, we're going a little bit colder than average, but with quite a lot of mild weather in there as well. I don't think it's going to be a clear-cut cold winter at all. Anybody that is thinking about it's going to be like 3 months of frozen snow-covered weather, I don't think it's going to be that kind of very, very severely cold winter. Famous last words, of course, and only the weather knows what it's got in store for us. But I'd be surprised if it turned into a prolonged and severely cold winter, due to particularly how the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans are set up. Yeah, you'll be able to have a read of that on GalService.com around 8 o'clock this evening, or just after 8 o'clock this evening. After I've done the live stream, I'll get that written up. We've got Harley Harbour with us, already down to 1.5 Celsius in Pembrokeshire, in South Wales. So yes, it's going to be a cold night, Harvey, and have really frosty night, and there may be some freezing fog around as well. So definitely the winter, if you consider winter to be 1st of December to the last day of February, either 28th or, as it will be for this winter, 29th of February, then we're certainly off to quite a cold start already, aren't we? We've got Alpha SB with us saying, hi, Gav. So, hi, Alpha. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Sunday evening, and I hope you enjoyed the live stream, and hope you enjoyed the winter forecast as well. iTech is with us saying, hi Gav, good evening, hope you're having a smashing Sunday. Well, yes I am, thank you, iTech. It's been a nice day, and it's nice to get the forecast out of the way and know that it's done, and that's it. So yeah, it's been a comforting day to know that that's done and out of the way. Got 81 people watching us right now, so hello and good evening, and thank you for tuning in to our live stream on this Sunday evening, discussing the winter 2019-2020 forecast. iTech is asking, looks like it may turn milder towards mid-December. We're going to have a look at West Central in around 10 minutes' time, iTech, so we'll see what GFS is showing this evening. I haven't seen any model data this evening, actually, so we'll have a look at GFS, see what it's doing very shortly. Shiram is with us, saying hello. Yeah, well, we know Shiram's with us. Shiram is asking, hello, Gavin, which month do you think has the best chance for severe cold and snow, even if it is only a brief spell? So that's a good question, Sharon. Probably February. I would say early February may be the time frame. We're going to pull in some easterly winds and keep them going for a few days to really be able to embed the cold area. It will probably be early February, I would think. But again, do bear in mind, we don't think that sort of very cold or severe cold temperatures will be able to persist for a great length of time with this winter. And what could well happen, it could be one of those winters where the cold air sort of surges across much of northern Europe, gets to kind of Germany or the Low Countries, and then gets rebuffed by the Atlantic. There could be quite a lot of that going on with this winter. So it could be a frustrating winter, it could be a rather teasing sort of winter where the cold is there and it's threatening, but most of the time the true severely cold could be struggling to get in a lot of the time. So there could be a lot of unhappy people on the forums, actually. It could be that kind of winter that sort of teases and torments the cold lovers, but it never quite sort of manages to come together, except only for a very brief period. So let's have a look at one or two more. We've got Matt Kanish with us. Hi Gavin, great update. How do we need the oceans to be to get a cold winter? Is that true? Were the UK to come? Is that true? Were the UK is with cold air to the north and warm to the south? Is the UK the dividing part? I'm not sure what you're saying there, that second part of the question mark. The first part, though, so in what we need for the oceans is tending to be favouring a rather colder Pacific Ocean, although weak El Nino can be good as well. So in the ENSO region, you really want to either a weak La Nina. Weak La Nina is probably best, followed by weak to moderate El Nino, particularly if it's Modoki El Nino, which is sort of a central based El Nino. They're quite rare. Northern Pacific, I like seeing quite a lot colder than it is at the moment. That sort of excuse me again. Got a bit of tickling in the throat, by the way. I explain this in the winter forecast. I think I've strained the vocal cords a little bit with all the videos we'll be doing this season. So I may have to stop and have a drink of tea. I've got a cup of tea actually sitting next to me. So if I need to stop and have a cup of tea, that's the reason why. Or have a sip of tea, that's the reason why. But to get back to the question, so for ENSO region, weak La Nina or weak to moderate El Nino, either of those quite good. ENSO neutral isn't particularly favourable, seemingly, to a colder winter. That's what we discovered when we did the ENSO analogues a couple of weeks ago. And we don't want ENSO to get too strong either. You don't want a very strong El Nino or a strong La Nina. Either of those tends to be curtains for a cold winter, really. Northern Pacific, so you want it to be colder, but it is this year around sort of Alaska and Canada, that northeastern part of the Pacific Ocean. In the Atlantic, you are looking for the tripole, so you're looking for it to be warmer to south of Greenland, colder sort of around Newfoundland, eastern seaboard of America, and then warmer again through the tropical Atlantic. What we actually discovered, or have discovered over the past week or two, is that a reverse tripole appears to be forming. We had that last year, where we get this horseshoe shape of cold setting up from the south of Greenland down towards Spain, and passing the UK and Ireland as well, and then it's warmer through the central and western part of the Atlantic, so kind of like over towards Newfoundland, east coast of America. That area tends to be quite warm. That's what we call a reverse tripole, and that can help to provide a positive LEO type setup. So the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, I'm a little bit concerned about them, I have to say, for getting a colder winter, but we shall see. We've got Casper's with us saying, good evening, Gav. So good evening, Casper's. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Sunday evening to our live. We've got 84 people watching us right now, so hello, and a big thank you to all of you for tuning in to this live stream discussing the winter 2019-2020 forecast. Darren Lewis is with us. Evening, Gav. Great winter forecast. Thank you, mate. So, well, thank you, Darren, for that. That's very, very kind. And please you enjoy the forecast, my friend. And thank you so much for tuning in on this Sunday evening too. James Ryan is with us saying, evening, Gav. Colder than the temperature said. The ice never melted on pavement. So yeah, it's been a pretty cold day in some parts of the country today, James. And it's that time of year as well. The sun's very, very low, of course. So anywhere that doesn't get sunshine, you really are going to struggle at this time of year to thaw the frost out. Of course, if it snows, this is time of year through to kind of mid to late January. January, where the snow will tend to stick because the sun is so low that large parts of the ground never really see a great deal of sunlight in some areas. So yeah, it's very low sun combined with cold temperatures. That will keep the frost and ice going. Paul Curling is saying, hope your throat is on then, so thank you, Paul, for that. Everything's fine. I'm just strained the vocals, I think, doing so many updates and videos lately. So, gonna have a little bit of a rest once this winter forecast is out of the way, as it is now, of course. Won't be doing any more long-range updates until into January, when we'll start the countdown to spring. Of course, January is when we'll start the countdown to spring, but we always take December off from the long-range stuff to try and recover a little bit from all of the late night recording sessions. Jack Rose is with us saying good evening. So good evening, Jack. Thanks so much for tuning in on this Sunday evening. Mark is also asking, whatever happens with this winter, will we still get very cold winters at some point in the next few years? This winter could be teasing a very cold winter shortly, Mark. That's one thing that I've got at the back of my mind, but I don't think this winter will be particularly cold or wintry winter. Famous last words again, because as I say, no one really knows what the weather is going to be doing in extended range. But I've got a feeling this won't be an especially cold winter, but I've got a feeling it will probably be teasing a very cold winter that could appear within the next couple. So 2020... 2020, 2021, 2021, 2022. Either two of those, I think, could unleash some very cold weather. So if it comes off, you heard it here first. If it doesn't, then we never said it. We've got Thomas Green with us saying, awesome winter forecast. I do think it is going to be colder than average. Also, I was feeling festive today. I did have my first flurry here in Norfolk. Well, congratulations, Thomas, for getting a snow flurry. Yeah, it's certainly been quite cold today. And, well, you could be right about this being a cold and average winter. That's certainly the direction we've gone in with the winter forecast. We've said only sort of a little bit below 81 to 2010 average, but we shall see about that, and we'll just have to monitor what happens. We've got 93 people with us now, so thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. In around 5 minutes, we'll go over to West Central and see what the midday GFS run was showing. Mr. Burns is with us, saying hi, Gaz. So hi, Mr. Burns. Thanks for tuning in on this Sunday evening to our live stream. So we can try and find one or two more. Whoops, it looks like we've pulled down to the bottom of the chat again. As I say, I'm scrolling through the chat, picking out your comments as I'm going. Sometimes it does sort of pull down to the very bottom of the chat, last comment. And I've got to scroll back and get back to where I was. So that just happened again, but we shall persevere. We've got Erky with us saying pretty much all the models show warmer than average temperatures this winter, but in reality, these orange models don't cooperate often at all. Thanks, Gav, for the video. So, yes, we did this final season model roundup, of course, on Saturday, and it was a very, very clear-cut signal for this to be an Atlantic-driven, mild, wet, and windy winter, and that was a very, very clear-cut signal coming through loud and clear within the long-range model output. So we'll just have to wait and see. I wouldn't rule out those long-range models, particularly the way the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans are set up. That's not what we're forecasting, but we did say within the forecast that our range of error does also point us to the possibility, anyway, of a milder winter. So it can't be discounted that they've got the signal right. But I think they're probably overdoing it, especially later. I think early in winter it probably will be Atlantic-driven. It may be quite cold Atlantic-driven type weather as well, similar to what we've had during November, with the jet stream tending to die southwards at times. But I think later in the winter we do have better prospects of building in some higher pressure. We shall see. It all will be revealed in the next few weeks and months. Khalil is with us saying, good evening, good work so far, Gavin. Hoping for snow soon. So that's the next thing, I suppose, Khalil. We actually had a colder than average November. The CET for November has been confirmed by the UK Met Office to be sitting at 6.2, or came in at 6.2. So has been a colder than average November. Hasn't been a great deal of snow around, so I suspect that's the next thing to watch out for. Will we be able to get a couple of snow watches going before Christmas? That would be really fun if we could, wouldn't it? Sean Donahoe is with us. Great winter video, Gav, from Sean and Alfie. Listened on a road trip back to Dublin. Oh, well, I hope you had a nice time, Sean. I hope the video was a good soundtrack to be driving back to. And, well, wherever you've been, I hope you had a nice time. And thank you so much for being with us on this Sunday afternoon. Mr. Burns is saying, I personally think the Atlantic will override the cold signals and give us a mild winter with a few cold snaps. Wouldn't rule it out, Mr. Burns. I wouldn't rule out that possibility. It's not what we've forecast, but, you know, with the Atlantic set up as it is, combined with the Pacific, it is a risk that that could happen, definitely. So, one or two more, and then in around 2 or 3 minutes, we'll go over to West Central. We've got 97 people with us now. Hello. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in on this Sunday afternoon. Please smash the like button and let us know that you are enjoying the live stream. And let YouTube know you're enjoying the live stream as well, after they very nearly stopped us from being able to do it. That was a bit of a hair-raising moment when I was trying to set up the live stream about half an hour ago. So we have got Dorjoy with us. Are we going to have a cold winter in the UK? So Dorjoy, we have forecast a slightly colder than average winter, coming in around half a degree below the 81 to 2010 average. That would be around average against 61 to 99. So it's definitely not going for a desperately cold winter, just a little bit on the colder side, sort of cold and milder interludes alternating, fighting with one another. A lot of changeability going on. Quite wet to start off with, and then getting drier the further along we go into the winter. So we've also got Gary Atkinson saying good evening, Gavin. So good evening, Gary. Thank you so much for tuning in into our live stream on this Sunday evening. Paul Jones is with us. Good evening, Gav. Huge thanks for the hard work you put into the videos. Well, thank you so much, Paul. That's really, really kind. As I say, as long as everybody's happy to see them and to watch them, as long as people want to see them, then we're very, very happy to do them. Chelsea Bill, Gav, can you tell us what you think about this winter now that winter forecast is finished? So I can't really add much more to the forecast, actually, Chelsea Bill. So I think we're going to have a slightly colder than average, winter, but not desperately cold. I think cold is going to struggle to sustain with this winter. I think it will get in at times, but then it will be rebuffed and pushed away by what is likely to be quite an active Atlantic. We start off pretty wet in the early part of the winter, and then we go drier, I think, later on in the winter. Hopefully, the flooding concerns will recede the further on into the winter we go. We got very close to 100 people watching us right now. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. So we'll pause the chat there. Well, not pause the chat, but pause answering your comments. We have gone over to 100 people watching now. So thank you so much, everybody, for being with us on this Sunday evening. We'll pause going through the comments and we'll pop over to Wetter Central, I think, and see what the midday run was showing. And maybe we'll have a quick look at CanSIP, shall we? Have a quick look at CanSIPs, see what that's showing for the next few months. So we won't go any further than you can go right to the end of next year. I think it can sit around 12 months of individual charts, but we'll only go to around March, I would have thought. So I'm going to have to pause. I'm going to have to take off the image. There we go. That's gone. And then enable display capture. There we go. That should be screen sharing now. We'll pop over to Wetter Central and we'll refresh the page. At West Central, it's fully out now, the midday run out to 384 hours. I think I'm going to pull this out as well because I know some of you struggled to see it when we showed you this a couple of weeks ago. So if I pull out to around there, hopefully you can all see that okay. We'll enable hover as well. So let's see what the midday GFS run is showing. We're starting off, of course, with high pressure sitting out to our west and pulling in this cold northerly wind. So we're under high pressure, and we're pulling in this cold northerly wind into this high pressure. The air is originating from quite a long way north. So that's the reason it's turned mainly dry, but it's also quite cold as well. Let's see what midday run is doing then, if the chart is going to start shifting. There we go. So early on, of course, in the coming days, we're going to find the high pressure ridging into the UK. It's going to turn us mostly dry, and it will still be cold across England and Wales. Scotland and Northern Ireland will be quite a lot milder. As you see, the wind is coming in from the Atlantic around the northern side of this high pressure. So for England and Wales, to the middle of this week, it's quite cold. Further frost and fog, I would have thought. Scotland and Northern Ireland, though, turning milder as early as tomorrow. Then we move into the second half of the week, and you notice that low pressure is gradually deepening to our north. So the high pressure is sort of breaking down, slipping southwards. We're bringing in more of a westerly flow there, turning quite unsettled by next weekend. Starting to bring in weather systems and areas of low pressure, bringing wet weather across the country. Although to the south, we're still just about managing to hold on to that ridge, aren't we? So for southern parts of the country, it is a little bit drier, but gradually over time we're turning more and more unsettled. We're up to Sunday, the 8th of December now, looking properly wet and windy there. We've got gale force winds across the country, and could be quite cold in the north, probably kind of wintry showers across northern parts of the country. That's the middle of next week. We go under this ridge of high pressure then, so quite dry and cold for the middle part of like the following week. So this is Tuesday, 10th of December. Moving up towards day 10. Low pressure very quickly coming back in again. See how active the Atlantic is. And I think certainly for the early part of winter, that is something that we will see frequently, these areas of low pressure pushing in off the Atlantic. And that's something that ties in with the sea surface temperature anomalies that we've got in the Atlantic at the moment. That's how we look at day 10, which is Wednesday the 11th of December, so looking quite wet and windy there. Then we go on to Thursday the 12th and go quite stormy, so that's around the general election, of course, quite stormy conditions there, quite cold too, probably cold enough to snow in the north. Looks like we've got more low pressure piling in as we come towards the end of this GFS run, which gets us into the middle of December. So yeah, very unsettled GFS, taking us right way up to Tuesday the 17th of December. Nothing particularly cold, a few little cold interludes here and there. But the main thing is very, very unsettled with this GFS run. Let's have a look at the GEM, the GEM, the Canadian model, see what that's doing next. So have we got mouse over enable fish? Yes, we have. So we'll start on Friday when the high pressure of the ridge is being broken down. We're turning quite wet and windy on Friday. Let's see what GEM does as we run through into more extended range. So it keeps Atlantic areas of low pressure piling in from the west, quite unsettled, wet and windy at times there. We're moving up towards day 10. And again, we're looking like we're under the cosh of the Atlantic. Low pressure is out there around Iceland. It's throwing areas of low pressure into the country. So up to day 10, which is Wednesday the 11th of December, it's looking unsettled and not particularly cold. A little bit chilly for northern areas, not particularly cold though. Up to day 10. There has been a bit of a suggestion, as we said in yesterday's video, the chance of a cold snap sometime around this sort of period from like the 11th, 12th, 10th, 11th, 12th to around the 15th, 16th. Sometime around then, the GFS has been playing, and some of the other models have been playing with the idea of the cold snap. Looks like that's gone away a little bit in this evening's output, although we are waiting for the ECMWF, of course. That won't be updating until between 6 and 7 o'clock this evening. Last thing I want to show you for this part of Livestream is CanSIPs. So hopefully you can all see this. This is at tropicaltidbits.com. This is the mean sea level pressure anomaly from Kansas, just updated today. This is for December. So you think that sort of blue is going to be low pressure, red is going to be high pressure. You can see that Kansas is forecasting, with just here, by the way, in the far right hand corner of the chart. You can see that Kansas is forecasting a very, very wet and unsettled and disturbed December, with low pressure well and truly in charge. And that Atlantic onslaught goes through to January as well, with the Kansas mean sea level pressure anomalies. Kansas is suggesting an Atlantic-driven mild, wet January 2022. Still under low pressure, really, in February, although it's not as deep. It is weakening to some degree. So I suppose there would be a chance of drier interludes in February, but even then, still looking quite westerly. It looks as though we're still driving in low pressure for the Atlantic, and March looks like that, also looking quite unsettled in March. So it doesn't look as though it's going to be a quick end to this Atlantic onslaught if Kansas is right. This is in line with all of the other long range model output, of course, that have been very, very much going for these for this Atlantic driven type weather over this coming winter. So it's in line with that. It hasn't changed its ideas. It's still going for what it has been going for, which is very Atlantic driven. And again, it's a kind of thing you might suggest is likely with the way the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans are set up. So that's why I'm just a little bit unsure about how much cold weather we're going to get in this winter. I think we will be able to get cold weather in at times. I still think that. Just how quickly that cold weather is able, or how long that cold weather is able to last and sustain itself. Right, so let's turn off the display capture and we will put the image back up, and then we'll go to YouTube and we'll see what you've been saying. So I've been doing that. I've got 108 people watching. So hello, and a big thank you to all of you for tuning in on this Sunday. We're going to be here until 6 o'clock, and then we'll have to end the live stream and go off and write up a written version of the winter 2019-2020 forecast. And you'll be able to have a read of that on GFS.com around 6 o'clock this evening. Right, let's go through and have a look at a few more of your comments. And again, sorry to anybody who gets missed out. So there will be people that unfortunately I can't get around to answering their comments and their questions. Have got Super Chat enabled for this live stream, so if you'd like to highlight your comment and flag it up to me, then that's how you can do it. But otherwise, as I say, it's just a matter of going through the chat and seeing what you've all been saying. Right, so we've got Adam Blunstone with us saying, hi Gabs, interesting winter update. So thank you so much, Adam, for being with us on this Sunday evening. We've also got City Andy with us saying, good evening, Gavin. What a great winter update series. You're all legends at Gav's Weathervids. Well, thank you so much, Andy, for saying that. That's really, really kind of you, my friend. And yeah, thank you so much. Also got VK with us saying, hello Gav, thank you for all winter updates. So thank you, VK. Please that you've enjoyed our season of winter updates and winter forecasts. Richard Trott is with us, our good friend Richard, saying, evening all, Glasgow Airport showing -4 currently. So the frost is already bedding in, Rich, up there in Scotland. I think it's going to get more and more widespread, isn't it, as the evening goes on. Big thank you to you, Richard, for all of your help with the winter updates and forecasts. And also a big thank you to James Aquila and Logs Guru. So big thank you to James for all of James's help with winter updates and forecasts. Big thank you to Terry Scully as well for all of his help and advice for the winter updates, winter forecasts. It really has been a collaborative effort between the four of us. So a big thank you to everybody who has helped, Richard, James, and also Terry, for all of the help provided with this forecast and this season of winter updates. Right, let's see if we can do a few more. So we've got, I see the chat has gone absolutely crazy while I've been doing that screen sharing. So I'm not going to be able to get everybody's comments in. Really sorry for anybody who gets missed out. I just feel bad that people go to the trouble of asking questions and posting comments, and then I'm not able to I'm not able to read them out, but we just have such a high volume of comments and questions and people getting involved in the chat, but I'm not able to get everybody's comment in. So really, really sorry to anybody who gets missed out. Let's see if we can find one or two more. We've got Jamie with us saying it has got milder here after sitting below freezing all day. So I think you must be somewhere in the north, perhaps, Jamie. It is going to be turning a little bit milder in the extreme north and northwest of Scotland. Perhaps. City Andy is asking what defines an ice day, as we have frost all day here. I think an ice day basically is where the temperature stays at or below freezing all day, Andy. So within a 24-hour period, the temperature never rises above freezing. Excuse me, again. We've got Chris Taylor. I think the dividing line between cold air and mild air is the jet stream. Yes, that's right. It's one of the big divides. Of course, the jet stream does mark the boundary between cold on the northern side of the jet and warmer, milder air on the southern side of the jet. We've got MVG Gaming. I just thought, what would the weather be like if the whole North Atlantic was colder than average? Well, that sometimes has happened. That has happened when we've been when truly in the grips of the cold AMO period, MVG Gaming. And so that would have been like from the mid to late 1960s to the early 1990s, so sort of particularly around the 1970s and 1980s. That was the peak of the cold AMO period, and we still had our traditional mix of weather. So I mean, the 1970s had the two very hot summers, of course, in the middle of the 1970s, and the early part of the 1970s didn't have any cold winters, but then they got a lot colder at the end of the 1970s, and those cold winters then carried on into the early to mid 1980s before the winters got very mild again at the end of the 1980s and into the 1990s. So even when you're in the cold AMO and the Atlantic has a really cold sea surface temperature on it, you still get changes within from year to year and from winter to winter and from season to season. It's not a continuous thing, even when the Atlantic is in its cold phase. Callum Timmins is with us saying, I hope we get a snowy winter and snowy Christmas. Well, it haven't gone overly snowy, Callum. We do think there will be some wintry weather at times. There will be some snow at times with this winter, but we certainly haven't gone for a particularly snowy winter. As far as Christmas is concerned, I think, if anything, within the Christmas updates, the trend has probably been more towards colder, drier, perhaps, over the days of Christmas. Of course, that is very up in the air if you farm the pub, because it's just trying to pin down the weather on one particular day. So I mean, it's in the lap of the gods, really, what the weather's going to be doing on Christmas. We are due a cold Christmas, I have to say. We haven't had a cold Christmas since 2010. We normally get to at least a couple of decades. So I think we're overdue a cold Christmas, but whether it will be this one, we won't know until much closer to the time. Paul Girling is with us. Hi, Gav. Is there still a chance of a southern stratospheric warming, as it did back off recently on your recent forecast, as that could determine a better chance of a cold winter? Maybe. So at the moment, the GFS is keeping this idea of warming up the stratosphere in its more extended range. It never gets particularly close. Never gets particularly close to the time frame, so it's keeping it like at its extended range, I think. It's very, very early days, though, to get a southern stratospheric warming. They tend to happen much later in the winter. So, I mean, it's only the first day of the winter of 2019-20. That's a long, long way to go. And the further on we go, through January to February, and even sometimes into March, the greater the chance of some snow falling, of a southern stratospheric warming, will be. Marzim is saying, Buzz was updating snow on 11th December to 15th. Now I see nothing on the homepage, so I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what that relates to, Mazin. But there was the idea yesterday in some model output that there could be some snow, as I say, around that 10th to 15th of December period. That has, as we just established when we went through the charts residential, that has backed off quite a bit with tonight's update. So maybe we won't get a mid-month cold snap. We'll have to wait and see about that. Cameron Kane is asking, what's the coldest upper air upper air temperature the UK has experienced. So I'm not sure, Cameron, what that would be. We've also got Callum saying, "Hi Gav, how are you? Are the models still predicting a Christmas Day storm?" So I haven't looked at the CFS today, Callum, so I'm not sure what it's showing today. I thought we may have a look at that for this live stream, but I don't think we're going to have time, because I've still got lots of comments that I'm going to get through. We're only going to be here for another 15 minutes. But if you go to Meteo Seal, select CFS 9 monthly forecast, have a look at midday run, you'll be able to see what it's showing. We have also got comments coming in from, whoops, it looks like we scrolled down to the bottom. It looks like we scrolled down to the bottom of the chat. So yeah, I'm going to go back up and try and find where I've got to. So Shirim is asking, again, think this winter might be the teaser for what we get over the next few years in 2021 and 21-22. Yes, I think there is the suggestion at the moment, Shirim, that this one could just be like laying the foundations, laying the groundwork for what might be to come in a couple of winters' time, perhaps maybe next one or the following one, sometime through the early 2020s. So, try and find one or two more. Aaron Smith is with us. Hi Gav, thanks for winter forecast and updates, of course, and I do think winters that had 5 or more or 6 or more strikes had a lot of northern blocking. Yes, they did, Aaron. There's definitely the suggestion within our leading analogues for high latitude blocking, and yeah, if you're just purely going on the analogues, we would probably have gone for a colder winter, but the elements that I'm concerned about are particularly what's happening in the oceans with the Atlantic and Pacific, and that's why I wasn't prepared to go any further than a slightly colder than average winter. I think even that, given what we're seeing in the Atlantic and Pacific at the moment, I think even that is quite risky and could go wrong. So, but definitely the analogues alone were pointing towards quite a lot of northern blocking, definitely. So we've also got Sean saying, "Hi Gav, have we had cold winters with similar SST setup? We now have, thanks Sean." So Sean, we've had a look at the sea surface temperature anomalies in the last winter update, the 13th, and that one showed that generally, probably no, we probably haven't had a particularly cold winter with the sea surface temperature anomalies of the Atlantic and the Pacific together set up as they are. But again, we have to take into account the other factors, though. We are at solar minimum, so that does point us towards the chance of a colder winter. So it's very difficult, very complicated winter to forecast this one, and it's a matter of just trying to judge exactly where we think we're going to come out. But as I'm sure I'm getting across and have done in winter forecasts, I'm quite concerned about what's going on with those sea surface temperature anomalies. So Jet into Orbit is saying that he was hoping that the Thames will freeze over, so don't think that's very likely to happen. Jet, that's something that happened many years ago, but hasn't happened for a really long time. And of course, part of the reason is that they have increased the flow through the Thames by building more bridges. So even if the temperature got down to the required sort of level of freezing cold, would still be very difficult to freeze the Thames up due to the increase of the flow. Paul Jenkinson, now that winter updates has ended, what are you going to do with all your free time? I'm going to have a rest, Paul. We'll still be doing some videos over the coming month, so the regular week 10 video updates will be continuing. But as far as the long-range stuff is concerned, that's going to go on the back burner for December, and then we'll be back with the long-range seasonal updates in January for spring. And maybe in some sort of little sneak peek up the summer as well, perhaps in January, who knows. But also, don't forget, though, we have got the historic video for Christmas Day. I've got to get that done. So that's going to be looking at the winter of 1939-1940 for this Christmas Day's historic video. So that's going to be quite an epic one that I'm going to have to get together before Christmas. And in the new year, we'll be bringing back Gazworthy's Sunday Roundup as well. So I know quite a few of you like the Sunday Roundups. So they'll be coming back in January. I suspect we'll have time to do Ensembles Watch as well. I know quite a few people like to see Ensembles Watch. So that will be coming back in the new year. Daniel Bradley, great work, Gavin, James, Richard and Terry. So do you think that it will be a backloaded winter? Then again, thank you very much. So I'm not sure, Daniel. We were highlighting December and February perhaps as being the two colder months. I would suspect out of those two, probably early February has the greatest chance of being quite cold. So yeah, I would say that it could be a bit backloaded, but then again, I think the second half of February is likely to turn milder. So it's going to be a complicated winter, and I'm not sure we'll be able to say a backloaded winter as such. So just going to be a case of watching this space and seeing how it transpires. So early February probably quite cold. Late February though goes rather milder. Michael Stevenson, do you think this setup of interruption of northerlies is a precursor of what will happen later? So I think you're saying, Michael, quick northerly snaps and then back to milder weather. Is that setting up a chance of colder conditions later in winter? It could be a signal. If we get a couple of northerly snaps through December, it could be a signal, perhaps that things are going to be going a little bit colder later in the winter. That can sometimes happen, but the early winter sort of gives you a bit of a heads up about where things are going to be later. Savvy is with us, and Savvy's just woken up. He couldn't make his convention today because he's been feeling unwell, so sorry to hear that, Savvy. Hope you're feeling better. Hope you're feeling better soon. But Livestream is always a great substitute. Well, thank you so much, Savvy, for that. And I hope you're feeling better soon. Sorry to hear you've been unwell. Got Anthony Klein saying, are you going to do an update at the end of December if key factors arise? Probably not, Anthony, no. We release the forecast, we put forecasts out there, but we don't update them. The forecast is what it is, so we just see how it goes as we get to the end of the season. We see how it's performed, if you like, when we get to the end of the season. But we don't sort of update as we go along, Gazworthy. So we shall see. But of course, there are going to be the videos where I'll be talking about how things are progressing. But the actual forecast itself, the winter 2019-2020 forecast, is what it is. If you like. So we've also got Lee Stone. High Gav, temp in Bidford, high ground 3 degrees Celsius. So yes, it's been a cold day today. City Andy, the jet stream looks like it's willing to go south. So it's happened during the autumn, of course, and it's the reason we've had a rather colder autumn and a rather colder November, is that the jet stream has been diving southwards quite a lot. So that may carry on into December. And I would suspect that's the way we will get cold weather in during December, by low pressures diving southwards with the jet stream and pulling in northerly winds. But I don't think those northerly winds will be able to sustain for prolonged periods before the next low is rolling in. See what I mean? Paul Gerling is asking, hi Gav, do you think the UK is due a cold or even severe winter? As I remember 81-82 as cold and snowy as was 2009-2010. So yes, actually, Paul, I do think that this winter could be, not this winter, but I do think that we probably are due a cold winter soon. I don't think it will be this winter because I don't think the oceans are set up to be able to provide that. if you see what I mean. But as I said, I think this may be a bit of a teaser. This winter may be a little bit of a teaser for what is ahead in either next winter, 2020, 2021, or possibly 2021, 2022. Very often before you have a very cold winter, the winter that precedes that very cold winter will be a bit of a teaser. That happened to some degree with 1963. The winter before it was 61, 62. It wasn't a particularly cold winter in its own terms, but it did have colder moments, especially late in that winter, late February 1962 and March 1962, very cold. And I think that was the outset giving a heads up about what was going to happen in the following winter in 1963. So you do sometimes have that happening. Katrine is with us. Sorry for being late. As I forgot about live stream. Good evening, Gavin, and everyone. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Katrine. Doesn't matter when you come in. Thank you so much for being with us on this Sunday evening. We're going to be here for a few more minutes, and then I'll wrap up the live stream. And I'll head over, well, I'll have a bit of tea, I suppose, and then I'll head over to Gazzovi's and get that written version of the winter 2019-2020 forecast written up. So if we can just see if we can find one or two more of you comments. It's been absolutely crazy with the comments. So thank you so much to everybody for getting involved in the live stream. Thank you so much. And not only this live stream, but all of the live streams actually that we've been doing over this season. When I said we were going to do live streams to go with the winter updates, I wasn't sure whether there would be a great deal of demand for it. I wasn't sure whether we'd have many people tuning in. But as we've gone along, it's actually grown and got bigger and bigger. So just thank you everybody for tuning in week after week to these live streams. And this is going to be the last scheduled live stream for some time, by the way, for a little while. But we will be back, I'm sure, after Christmas and New Year. We will be back with some more live streams for you. I'm not sure what sort of format they'll take, but I'm sure we'll be back with live streams before too much longer. But this is the final scheduled live stream to coincide with the winter updates, because of course we have run out of winter updates to release the winter forecast. So we've got Selnet saying, I'm sure I pronounced that name wrong, so sorry about that, but you'll know what your question is. So they're saying, Gav, do you have an opinion on sunspots affecting the weather? So yes, of course, part of winter updates is always keeping close eye on what's happening with solar activity. We are at a low level of sunspots at the moment. We're in solar minimum. This is a very prolonged solar minimum, very extended solar minimum. It increases the chance of a colder winter, but it's not the only driver. It sort of loads the dice a little bit in favour of a colder winter, and particularly so actually as you come out of solar minimum. That's one of the reasons actually where I think that it could be like next winter, the following winter. They might be the two to watch out for. They'll be the first winters of solar cycle 25 probably. And so I think those could be the two to watch out for, much more so than this winter. Sharon is saying, hello Gavin, thank you for all your great work for winter updates, winter forecast, which is appreciated by everyone, along with the work of James, Richard and Terry. Yes, thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you to James and to Richard and to Terry for all of their help with this season of winter updates and with winter forecast. As I say, it's very much a collaborative effort, so thank you to James, to Richard and to Terry. Going to do one or two more, because I did start a couple of minutes late, as I explained. It was a bit hair-raising at the start of this video when for some reason the stream now button had disappeared at YouTube, and I had to find a workaround to get the live stream going. So I started a couple of minutes late, so we'll end a couple of minutes late. We've got Wayne Bingham. Hi Gav, hope you're okay, loving your live videos, buddy. Well, thank you so much, Wayne. That's really, really kind, and thank you so much for being with us on this Sunday evening. And it's great to hear that you've been enjoying the live streams as well, because as I say, when I started, when I said we were going to do live streams, with winter updates. I wasn't sure whether anybody would be particularly interested, whether we would have much support. But yeah, that's really, really, really kind of you to say that, and thank you so much for being with us on this Sunday evening, for the past few Sunday evenings as well. Stanley is with us, so good evening, Stanley. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. And I think that pretty much gets us towards the end of the chat. Let's see if I can find one or two more, perhaps, just before we go. So Kevin Barber is saying, Gal, I love listening to your weather forecast. I've learned so much on your idiot-proof weather forecasting. Keep up the good work, Gav. It's a pleasure to be a patron of your great self. Well, thank you so much, Kevin, and thank you so much for being a patron as well for Gav's Weathers. That's really, really kind of you. And as I say, as long as everybody is happy to watch the videos and enjoys what we're doing, we're happy to keep doing them. So huge thank you to you and to everybody for the ongoing support and interest, and for watching the videos, and for going back to gazweathers.com to read the forecast, and for getting involved in the live streams, and for being patrons, and for being PayPal donors. Just a huge thank you to all of you. And I think that pretty much gets us to the end of the live stream. So, as I say, this is the final live stream for a little while, unless something unexpected happens. What I'm just going to say is this is the last scheduled live stream for a little while. If we was to get a snow event, I dare say we would probably try and find the time to squeeze a live stream in somewhere. But this is the last scheduled live stream for a little while. I'm not sure when the next scheduled live stream will be, but watch this space, and I'm sure they'll be back at some point in the coming weeks. So if you're waiting for the written version of Winter 2019-2020 forecast, that's going to be placed on Gaz Weathers after 8 o'clock this evening. I'm going to get that written. I'm going to have a bit of tea first. So that will be 8 o'clock this evening if you wait to have a read of that. Terry Scoley's December forecast will be released at Gaz Weathers in around an hour. At 7 o'clock. I've already got that forecast. I'm just going to post it to the website. The videos in the coming days, of course, we're going to have a week, 10-day video updates as always. More Christmas updates on the way as well. So we're winding things down a little bit, certainly from the longer range stuff, but we're definitely not going anywhere. We will still be producing plenty of videos running up towards Christmas. And I say, now that the long range stuff is out of the way, we will probably start thinking about Ensembles Watch. I know quite a few of you enjoy Ensembles Watch, so that may well be appearing on a Sunday evening very, very soon. Gaz's Study Roundup will be returning in the new year as well. So we're definitely going to carry on producing the content that you love. Well, thank you so much for being with us this evening, and thank you so much for being with us on the past sunny evenings when we've been live streaming since the beginning of September. Hope you've enjoyed the winter updates, hope you've enjoyed the winter forecast as well. And all that is left is for me to say thank you so much, everybody, for watching and for listening, and bye for now.